I'm Kevin Johnson in Melbourne. I'm about to chat with Nigel Foote and Richard Johnson about their film The Indian in Me, which was made in Chennai, in India, in February 2025. We will discuss various aspects of the film, including its story, themes, creative processes, challenges during production, audience impact, and personal reflections. First, let's watch the teaser, a short video designed to generate excitement and curiosity about the film without revealing too much plot.
Welcome, Freddie.
You and Charmaine, you don't want to face facts.
Now let's not rake up the past. Fred, now's the time we need to be united since Dad is dying.
We can't change the past. We are happy here in India.
You have come here to send off your dad. Please do it peacefully and respectfully.
Thank you for coming, kids.
How's Grandpa?
He's been asking more than a dozen times for y'all.
Pleased to meet you. Welcome to Chennai.
These are the hands that taught me how to spin a top, to fly a kite.
There's a Tamil saying, a good man will live a long life for 100 years with ease.
I could have been a better man. I have a confession to make, Shanti.
In India? And now you come here and trying to throw your weight around. Hey, get off me! Come on! He's gone.
Freddie, be nice.
To the old man.
It's captured my curiosity and looks great, so let's meet Nigel, head of production, director and co-writer with Harry McClure. Also, Richard, an associate producer and script consultant. You both act in the film too. Sounds like a busy schedule.
Hi Kevin, thanks for this opportunity to talk about our film, The Indian in Me. Busy is an understatement. We were focused on completing the film before returning to Melbourne. What do you think, mate?
Oh, what do I think? I mean, this is the first film I've seen being filmed like this, and edited, and completed. And it was just flat.
We were under the pump there for a while, weren't we?
Absolutely.
17 days. 17. We were only there for 19. And, but we enjoyed it.
Absolutely, flat out.
And we met some incredible people.
Oh, and what a team.
What a team we had. They were hard-working and
Superb.
just really, you know, we couldn't have done this without that team.
Absolutely.
What personal experiences or influences shaped your vision for this film?
That's a good question, mate. Well, actually, one of the influences is sitting right here next to me, Richard. Richard, why don't you come in and talk about The Indian in Me, the concept, the team and the project?
Yeah, this came as a realization. I think it crept up on me, because people in Australia ask me, oh, you're going back to India, you're going to see family. Well, I've got no family. And of course, I've got an interest in family history, and that led me to ask this question. Why don't I have any connection with the Indian side of my family? And then that question spun out, and I thought I'd ring Nigel, filmmaker, talk to him a bit about it, and then ring others maybe who shared that.
Yeah, I mean,
question.
Really, passion's a good word for it. And as far as, personal experience, well, geez, we've all born in India, we've, family, friends, we've experienced all types of things. And I personally have been to India, several times. This is my third film, actually. Yeah, lots of things influence filmmakers, and also this is a good story.
Absolutely.
The Anglo-Indian story, or this story, this family drama. identity, covers a lot of things.
Let's begin with the story. What is the central theme you wanted to explore with this film?
Well, for me, you know, when one meeting actually, during one of the meetings we were having, do you remember? We were having a Zoom meeting, the team, and one of the members who's actually an associate producer as well, Andre Alfonso, he said, you know, one thing is maybe there should be an apology to the Indians. And that struck me, and we talked about it during the meeting, and I thought, wow, okay. So that's how the story began, fairly humbly, just as an idea from Andre. But yeah, the central theme is this whole thing of this apology. And we'll get into that more. But Richard, do you remember that? Andre proposed that. What did he say? He wanted to
rattle the cages, but let's not dwell on rattling the cages. You see, the question is why? I mean, why is it that you guys are, you know, you're not young anymore, but you still haven't addressed this issue?
Yeah.
And we shared that kind of view that we need to go back and relook and re-examine and re-question. And that's where this story lies, in re-questioning, looking at some of the truths that we share.
Yeah, some of the unmentionables, I'd put it down as, you know, we certainly tackled a subject that I've never heard being spoken of, you know.
How did you develop the main characters and what motivated them?
So, you know, having the storyline, then one has to be able to take that off the page, because it's just written words. And I put together a draft with some characters in it. And I had to think now, what motivates these people? What drives them? So I suppose that I made, you know, several characters in the film, a little stereotype, if you like, you know, the quintessential Anglo-Indian characters, if you like. But then I also drew on personal experience of people that I know in the community, or even my own family, or, you know, some of the things that I believe or have experienced myself. So you take that and you have a picture. This is the way I write. I have a picture of a character in my head and I write their lines, and it has to come from their mouths, not from my mouth. I write it, but then the character in the film has to speak it from their mouth. And that's where, you know, you need to have good actors. So once I'd had that draft and I'd sketched out some characters, I shared it with Harry McClure, my co-writer, and he came back and said, well, what about if we added this character? Or what about if we changed the motivation for this character? And through that combination, we come up with the screenplay, you know. And at one point, just to give you an example, I needed a doctor. So actually, Richard acts as the doctor in the film, and it's a very short part, but it's so important, that role.
Is it?
It is. But you know, because I had to get a message across. When you're developing characters, especially for a very short film, this film's only 28 minutes long, but it's a big subject. But I've had to write it to keep it within that budget of, you know, what we can afford to do. So I have to very quickly establish a character. As soon as they come on camera, on set, that character has a spoken word, but they also have to look the part. They have to act the part. That's what acting's about. And you did a great job, but the Doctor has a pinnacle, you know, role because of the way he treats one of the other characters. If we took that out of the film, right?
Yeah.
There'd be something missing.
The message I'm trying to convey in that role of the Doctor is a bit of disdain for this Freddie, the loudmouth, and just ignoring him. just walking past him.
Yeah, and you know, an audience sees that, the viewer sees that and says, oh, hang on a sec, what's happened here? There's something, you know, Freddie came into the house and, you know, was upbeat, and then you've ignored him for some reason. Well, that's a trigger.
Does the conflict in the film reflect current views?
What do you think, Richard?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's conflict in the film. I think the script has dealt with that conflict in the film exceptionally well. You know, I remember one of the people watching that film in that first showing she said, after 5 minutes, I want to smack Freddie.
I have to put my hand up. I played Freddie, but I'm not really like. I'm acting.
It's that conflict. It's that Freddie, the Anglo-Indian in Australia, who is more Australian than the Australians, and a loud mouth, and there are these subtle differences, and sometimes not so subtle differences, of the difference between Freddie and his brother, the difference between Freddie and his father.
Yeah.
And you know, the characters, the conflict is played out subtly, I hope, too, because we don't want to upset the Anglo-Indian community, but we do want to give the message of the need to re-examine. I mean, after all, history are stories, you know, of how we perceive what happened. Well, here's how we are perceiving growing up with our Indianness. You know, and we've got to be really careful about addressing some of these conflicts.
Yeah, and again, you know, as director and acting at the same time, you know, I had to balance that. However, again, going back to our 28-minute film, we just can't take a long time to establish that Freddie's, you know, not really that nice a guy. We have to do it very quickly. And I think we achieved that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I never got slapped, but a few people came up to me and said, you know, God, I wanted to slap you.
But what I'd like to say, even at this point, is project to a film to come from us.
Yeah.
Where Freddie is resurrected.
Yeah.
Because Freddie is not the complete reflection of the Anglo-Indian.
No.
Remember, the Anglo-Indian are part, some of them are saying sorry. And now, in a coming film, I would like to see the character of Freddie resurrected.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think there's a hint. I wrote a hint of it into the film.
Absolutely.
There's a lovely scene with him and his brother, you know, making a toast.
Yes.
And yeah, I won't give a spoiler, but yeah, it's a nice scene.
What messages do you hope audiences take away from this film?
Look, for me as a filmmaker, I think I want people to go away feeling that this is an authentic slice from a family's life. And it's a slice of life that takes place behind closed doors, you know, where families have these conflicts. So I wanted to make a film that was really authentic and also with authentic characters who are believable and that the audience can empathise with or hate or, you know. And I think an audience who watches it goes away thinking, wow, that's a big concept. This whole thing of apology is a big concept and I've never thought of it that way. So if people go away questioning what happened over the period of, you know, the community's existence and how possibly they treated Indians or how they felt they were treated by Indians, I think I would be grateful, you know, that what we set out to do, which was to explore this subject of an apology, hit its mark and people are talking about it and enjoyed it.
See, I think in my lifetime, I've seen the Anglo-Indian community evolve. And I would hope that this film represents an evolution where we are re-looking at the history that we create. And how do we evolve? And we are questioning. And we need to question where we've come from, where we are now. You know, and we're not speaking about from every Anglo-Indian's perspective. There are other people who are Anglo-Indians who are in India. There are people in different parts of India with their own stories. And this is just our story.
One story.
And we need to emphasize that.
You know, I'm already thinking on a trilogy, a follow-up trilogy of films based on these characters, and you alluded to it before with Freddie, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and our group is excited about that, and the research we're doing on that.
Tell us about the creative processes and direction. Describe your approach to directing the actors to capture the nuances of their characters.
Well, as a director, you know, the job starts way before you get to the set and before the cameras are rolling. It's the casting process. You think about, okay, well, here's my character. This is what I want them to say in the film, but I need to find someone who can bring that body language and that nuance to the screen, if you like. And the casting, you know, Harry and Akrabruden, the line producer in Chennai, they promoted some people. They sent me some videos of them speaking the lines, and yeah, we just took it from there. I made a couple of you know, suggestions, etc., but we didn't meet the actors until we got to Chennai, and you know, till we got to set on the first day. But after speaking with them as individuals, not as actors, but as individuals, then I could sort of gauge, okay, how far can I take this actor in the role of the character? You know, I know that they can speak the lines, but what else can I get them to bring to bring that character to life? So spending a little bit of time with them, talking to them, getting to know them a little bit. You know, I'm a director that likes actors to bring what they want to bring to the role. I'm not an actor that will say, you know, put your arm up or put your arm down or turn this way or turn that way. You know, I'll let them bring their own thing that they want to add to it. If something doesn't work, well, you know, you were on set for most of the time. Something doesn't work, we just try something a little bit different. But you know, the team of actors that we had were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you'll see the acting. You know, not all of them are professional actors. I'm not a professional actor. Dr. Richard's not a professional actor, but we did our best, and that's all that we really wanted to do. But in the film, you won't believe how good the acting is, isn't it? It was amazing. Amazing.
I'm a complete novice to all of this, but the acting was magnificent. But what about the production team? I mean, I had the greatest of respect for them. They were just outstanding.
Yeah.
And you handle that balance between working with them, the acting team, and your own part.
Yeah.
I think you did an exceptional job. And getting it completed in that time too.
Thanks for that. Yeah. The other thing was, you know, one thing I had to do, and I had to do it almost subconsciously to the actors, was get them to act like a family. Because here are all these different people coming from different backgrounds and, you know, ages. The age group went from 12 to who was the eldest? You.
Me.
To elder, you know, from 12 to 112. It was a huge difference. But to get them to look like a family, that took a little bit of subtle sort of subconscious, but in talking to them and, you know, spending time with them. And I'm a quiet director. I don't shout, I don't scream, I don't point at people and all that sort of stuff. I just have conversation, and I'm sure that you can see this cohesive family on the screen. And they all came to me at the end of the film and said, "Oh, we really feel like we were a family for those. And we only shot for 3 days, by the way.
Yes.
3 days on set. I probably never do that again because it was, it was full on. But everyone, not one person didn't pull their weight. And they were so generous with their creativity, weren't they? Just amazing.
Did you work with the cinematographer to achieve the visual style of the film?
The director of photography was Naveen Sikar. Naveen, young man, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant with the camera, the technical side of it. Actually, I have an imaging background myself, so from a technical point of view, he and I really hit it off. Other people wouldn't understand what we were talking about, but it didn't matter. We were in sync. So before we even, got to the set, I'd spoken to Naveen on Zoom meetings, and I sent him what's called a lookbook, which are images, still images of scenes that I would like lit or photographed from a certain angle or, coloured in a certain way, all of those things. So then he sent me one back as well with his thoughts. So by doing that, even before I got there, I knew what to expect, and Naveen knew what to provide as the director, what to give me, and he was a joy to work with, wasn't he? His team that he had there.
And Akbaruddin, he was just brilliant.
Yeah, the other person who also brought all this crew together in India for us was Akraboon. He's a line producer. He's also a director and writer himself. But it was a case of the director and the cinematographer talking intimately about the colour. What colours are we having in the film? What light are we having? Are we having morning light, afternoon light? All of those sorts of things. It's a difficult process to explain. But Naveen was so good. He'd get the right camera positions, and you'll see the camera moves around a fair bit. Some of it's shot on a tripod, some of it's hands held to get certain atmospherics to the film. But I enjoyed it immensely. And for a director, when we would look at the shots that we'd taken during the day, from the very first screening, I knew that Naveen was the right choice.
Were there any specific challenges you faced during filming, and how did you overcome them?
Challenges? Well, one of them, you got sick, didn't you? You spent 4 days stuck in your bloody hotel room. That was a challenge. And I'm saying that, I'm stirring him up. But that is one challenge, is that you can get sick in India,
Fortunately, that was after the filming of
the 3 days.
The first 3 days. But the team was just so good with carrying the weight of,
Yeah, I suppose the main thing was the timetable that we had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was a tiny budget. And having a tiny budget means that you don't get a lot of time. You make a take, you say action, the camera's rolling, sound's rolling, action, and people start acting. And then you might view it, or someone forgets a line, or, something happens. Well, it costs money to reshoot that scene because it takes time.
And the other thing about the time was, people need to realise that the first 3 days, all the filming was done. It was all done in a family's home.
That's
an
right.
Anglo-Indian family's home there. So people actually live there. That's their home. So we had to finish and get out of there. And just a little quiet aside, it was announced that there was a cobra. This is a real snake in the garden. I'll tell you what, I was on my best behaviour.
People were looking for it, weren't they?
Absolutely.
How many things did we break in the end? No, I'm joking.
No, they're not too many.
They were great. They were great people.
A great family.
And, the amazing thing was that this house, we didn't have to add one prop
No.
Everything in it is how it was there.
And
we
it's-
just moved a couple of things. We moved the bed, and so we could shoot, get the camera around and that sort of thing. But challenges were the time restraint, the travel. We weren't that close to the set. It took us about maybe an hour to travel, and travelling in India is always a challenge, of course. But the food was fantastic.
And Harry did such a good job.
Harry did a great job. He did a lot of stuff before we got to this area. He found the location and that sort of thing. So as head producer, it was great to be able to have these great people to help.
What was your process for creating the film's atmosphere and tone?
Well, again, I suppose it comes back to finding this house. What were the names of Pepin? The Pepins, Mr. and Mrs. Pepin. Getting that house, it had all of the aspects that you would expect to see in a home. Especially, it was contemporary, but it had all of these, these, what were they? Some stuff was antique. A lot of little sort of, what would you call it? Ornaments.
The ornaments were everywhere, showcase, the glasses and the bottles. It was all just classic.
Yeah, it was classic, and that saved an immense amount of money.
But
as well,
it was also that family of actors that you talked about.
Yeah,
worked themselves into the skin of the characters.
Yeah,
and I think they did that just.
And it was a pretty laid back set. Really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The other thing is, when you're shooting a film like this, there's the catering. You have to feed everyone, and you have to get bottled water, tea, coffee, and the caterers were great. The food was just sensational.
Harry again did it.
Yeah, Harry organised.
But what about the makeup guy? I mean, he was just outstanding.
Yeah, we had we had two makeup people. One did Harry's makeup for the elderly man, and for his death mask as well. He was made up for that. The other guy did all of us.
Oh, he was.
So and it was fun. No one got upset or anything. Every morning I'd get the group together and I'd talk about the previous day and thank everyone. And we'd all give each other a clap and off we'd go. We usually started at about 9 o'clock, and we'd finish maybe 6 o'clock, and then usually Harry and I would look at the dailies, or we'd go to the editors and all of these post-production things that need to be done. We do that as well. So some very late nights, and we worked in Collywood. I don't know if people up north, you've probably heard of Bollywood. Well, we were working in Collywood, which is the movie capital of Tamil Nadu.
How did you incorporate sound design to enhance the storytelling?
Well, it has an original score. This film, music was Robert Sarganum. Yeah. Now Robert's a young guy, very experienced, a beautiful sound studio in Collywood, and the way that we did it, because I wanted this organic music score. We played the film, or parts of it, and then Robert would sit with his computerized keyboard and he'd just come up with these melodies. Absolutely fantastic. And then Harry and I were there in the studio and we might say, can we just nuance this entry of this character into the room, or can we just maybe have some dramaticism at this point, and Robert would just sit there and go. The other thing is I introduced a lullaby into the film, so we used part of that lullaby, the melody of that lullaby, in the music score. What do you think of the music?
I mean, this was all new to me, and it was absolutely mind-boggling as far as I was concerned. For part of this process, I was unwell. But that didn't really matter because I wasn't involved in that process. But I would actually see the end result of that after a couple of days, and I couldn't believe it. Original score.
A preview of the finished film was held in Chennai, with an invited audience and media. What was the outcome?
There's a cinema in Chennai, and I used it to promote my very first film, Going Away. And it holds, I think, nearly 300 people. It has a full screen, it has a magnificent Dolby sound system, and it has a stage as well. So, yeah, Harry organised the preview night, and we invited some friends, family. I even had a cousin came from Pondicherry. Press. We had the media there, the film media. Of course, all the actors and the crew were there. Some brought their families, which was just sensational. We showed the film, and then we had a Q&A after that. I just had a ball. I loved it. And we also supplied food and drinks for everyone who came. But you must have enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't believe the quality of that whole auditorium. I also thought that the visiting guests that Harry had arranged were absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, we had we had a few VIPs there,
Yes.
which was
and his Pride and Prejudice reference in his talk
that's right.
was just spot on.
Yep.
And the film was so positively received and responded to. It was really, and then the next day in the papers, even the
just
Tamil
sensational.
papers had reviews.
We had
And
several
the English
reviews.
and they're all outstanding.
Yeah. And in fact, I hired a videographer to record the preview night. So keep a lookout for that video. I'll share that with people, and that has the Q&A section in it. And it was a joy, and the people loved it, didn't they? The audience was just
quite
sensational. And no one slapped me, which was good.
But you weren't a popular character.
I wasn't a popular character there at all. No.
Who do you think is the ideal audience for this movie?
Richard, do you want to go for that
Actually,
one?
I think, you see, I think we have been talking, obviously, about the Anglo-Indians, but it's really a mixed race theme.
It is.
And I think most people of mixed race would be able to
100%.
identify with this
100%.
film, and also with their own reaction of favouring one culture ahead of the other.
100%.
You see, because and that's what the film is all about. So I think it has a broader appeal to just Anglo-Indians, but with the Anglo-Indian community too. There's so many different sections of the community that I would expect a different response.
Well, just the diaspora, that crowd of the community, some of who have been back to India and experienced India for the way it is now compared to when they were there. And of course, when I wrote the character of Freddie, I've incorporated that.
Yeah.
Freddie lives the good life in Australia, and he's only coming back to India because his father's not well. But he comes with the perception of India of how it was when he last visited. And this is, of course, I highlighted that in this conflict that he has with the taxi driver. This argument is, I've written it there to show the character and what his interpretation of what India's like. And poor old Freddie's not moved on much, has he?
Do you have any hopes for how this film might impact viewers?
It was my baby, if you like, initially. I'm proud of it as a product, just as a product. But I really wanted Richard, because I respect him so much. I really wanted Richard to say, Nigel, this is something that's special. This is something that we've done, and it's a legacy. Really, when people see this film in 50 years, I think they'll get a glimpse into this whole thing of Anglo-Indian and Indian, and in 50 years people are going to say, what, an Anglo-Indian? Like that's in a bygone age, and even in the film, I wrote one of the characters saying, one of the younger characters says, we don't think about the Raj. We don't think about colonialism. You know, it's just not in our psyche anymore. So yeah, I think I'd be really happy to think of it as a legacy.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for my family, you know, my
That's
grandchildren
right.
especially.
And you dedicated it to
Yeah, I dedicated it to my kids and my grandchildren. So.
And I think to see that the story represented in film in this form is just superb, because we'll have the text-based story.
Yeah.
But this is the film-based story, and it is, I think.
Well, the first film I did with Harry McClure called Going Away explores this thing of the diaspora and this family separation due to immigration, and you know, this dovetails nicely with that.
And again, I hope it appeals to a wider audience of mixed race people.
Yeah, I think it will. I think from a cinematic point of view, just purely as a film, irrelevant of the subject matter, it's a lovely film to watch. It looks good, it sounds absolutely amazing, and it's touching.
Yeah.
For me, you know, the final scene in the film, and again, I don't want to give a spoiler, the final scene for me is, I always get a tear in my eye. It's just beautifully shot. Naveen really did magic with the camera. And the two young actors at the end, they just did a superb job. You know, it's not easy acting. It's you know, there's a group of people surrounding you. You've got a camera stuck in your face. You've got some guy with a bloody pole with a microphone on the end. You've got a director who's watching every move you make. You know, and it was just great. I just loved that final scene.
How do you think this film might spark conversation or debate?
Well,
Well, it has already, really, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, we're talking about it still.
but we do hope the conversation and the debate is widespread. This is not one view. We're not presenting one view.
No.
And we're not representing one group of people. I mean, there are people, Anglo-Indians in India, who will respond in their own way, and even different areas will respond in their own way. And we must be prepared for that. And we are prepared for that, because we are not representing, we're not putting words in people's mouths.
You know, the film is, at the moment, entered into several film festivals in India and abroad, and we've already won 2 accolades. You know, which is fantastic. Our little film with a big heart, you know, is up against multi-million-dollar films, but yeah, we're getting it seen. So once we can actually, you know, share it with everyone, I think a lot of Indians who aren't Anglo-Indians but Indians are going to just be blown away by this. I think it's going to introduce some sort of paradigm shift, possibly. People would talk about it. That's really what I want to happen.
Yeah,
this conversation, you know, where things really change.
What kind of reaction are you hoping to elicit from the audience?
I think reflection.
Absolutely.
I think people reflecting over this concept of this dying man whose identity, you know, he's had this solid identity of this mixed race, but you know, he's not favoured the Indian side at all. He's never spoken about it. He's always talked about his Britishness, if you like, not his Indianness. And as a character who's dying, to make this apology, I think, is amazing. I mean, people should say, wow, you know, he's brave. Or some people might say, what the friggin' hell's he talking about, apology? What have we got to apologise for? So I think people, you know, if they think about what it means as far as identity goes, I think, you know, maybe they'll reflect on their own family, their grandparents especially. You know, India was a very different place 100 years ago. Very, very different to what it is now. Anyway.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've even had people from Australia who've heard my story say, what? I mean, I can't believe that you have neglected the Indian side of your story. It's almost like going through a lifetime and someone telling you, didn't you realize that you have two, you have the hot water tap and there's cold water tap. And the H, you haven't turned that on, you haven't turned that tap on.
Well, your favourite, you know, the thing that you coined that I love is the seesaw.
Yes.
You know, do you want to quickly explain that seesaw?
That seesaw that has been so biased to the Anglo side, you know, and we've developed this idea of looking at the seesaw and weighing it in terms of food, for example, in terms of films, in terms of songs.
Well, sport as well. You know, who do you support?
Yes, I had all my favourites, Rocky Marciano, and you know, and all my favourite cricketers of Bill Lawry.
Yeah.
Growing up, of course, they were the Indian cricket team too. But you know, there was always that, especially in Hollywood and all our favourite John Wayne.
That's right. Yeah, balancing.
And how could you not have recognised the richness of the Indian influence? And we are realising that. And this is the positive aspect of this film. It's saying, it's not over yet.
No, that's exactly
Rediscover.
right.
Ask questions.
Yeah, ask
Go
questions.
back.
Yeah.
Evolve.
Yeah,
You know?
What are you most proud of in the final film?
I think as a producer is coming in on time with the film, but doing it in a way that, you know, we did it in a way that the quality of the film speaks for itself. When you see this film, you'll say, wow, it looks like a film from Hollywood or Collywood, whichever. It's a professional looking film, brought in on time, pretty much on budget, and it's something that everyone who is involved with it, everyone, can be proud of.
And I just hope that people can see the film as an avenue to empathising with the main feature of the film, the main story of the film, the main question.
I mean, the other thing is people are living these sorts of conundrums in families. You know, it's not. This is not a science fiction or some sort of. You know, it's people are going through this.
Yeah.
This thing of family marrying Indian people, and you know, Anglo-Indians not wanting to be Anglo-Indians. They don't want to be called Anglo-Indians. They want to be Indians. They don't want to separate. And yet some of the older generation just can't do that. They can't cross that.
Yeah. Like my grandsons. So they feel Indian Maori, not Anglo, but the Indian Maori. And that's their way of representing the culture. They feel Indian Maori.
And that's why this film crosses all of those things. You know, it's all about identity and mixed blood.
Finally, what did you learn from making this film that you will carry forward to future projects?
Well, as a director, I'm still learning. I don't think you ever stop learning about film because film's such a dynamic art form. And you know, I learnt a lot from the crew that I worked with. Again, as I said, you know, we exchanged ideas, we exchanged technical things about the film. I learnt a lot about the music production because I haven't been involved that closely before with original music. So yeah, I think I'm a better filmmaker, in all honesty, from making this film, and I'll take all that I've learned into the next film. And I'm not doing just films connected to the Anglo-Indian community. I've also written and directed some other films. One's a science fiction film, so But yeah, I learnt a lot, and I'm going to take that with me.
And on behalf of the Indian in Me research group, I would just like to say that, we have something that we value in this film, but it's not all. It's the beginning. We've got a lot more work we're going to do, and we'll be doing a lot more production. And of course, with Nigel's very much, he's a central part of that group. So it's film, it's text, it's a lot more graphic representation.
Well, we've got our website, Facebook page,
Yes.
The Indian in Me.
So this is a part of what we would like to carry forward.
Yeah, and one thing I hope when people are, when we do finally able to distribute this film, people can see it, that we get feedback.
Absolutely.
And honest feedback. We're not after accolades just for the sake of having something nice to say about it. We made this film with a little bit of controversy, because we want people to tell us, and we can take what you tell us and put it into the next films.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. We also want to thank our fellow producers, Richard Flory and Bernard Gonzalez. Also our associate producers, Andre Alfonso, Marie Bockholt and Bernie Morgan. We had an amazing creative and production team in Chennai who worked tirelessly to ensure we had the film completed on time. Harry and Akrabruden did a lot of pre-production before we arrived on set, and made us feel so welcome too.
Absolutely.
Made us feel really welcome. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.